The world of Hydaelyn is vast and diverse. It is important to educate ourselves on her creations, such as the Aura. As important members of our society, the Aura are seen as ruthless, battle-hardened warriors, but that's not entirely true. Today, we will discuss the rich history and myths surrounding the Aura and their way of life. It is believed that the Aura were created by two deities, the Dawn Father Azum and the Dust Mother Nama. These two deities were caught in a constant state of conflict to see who would rule the new world that they had formed. As the war went on, they would create the two clans of the Aura. Azum would go and create the Rain Clan, and Nama would create the Zayla clan. Year after year, the two deities would fight each other, but over time they would learn to love. Azum and Nama left the land where they created the Aura and would leave them to live their own lives, giving life to a new generation of Ari. Knowing where they came from, let us further discuss the Aura and their way of life. Covered in scales, the Aura are a humanoid race with strong draconic elements. The characteristic of the Aura that stands out the most is their horns on the side of their head. These horns match the color of an Aura's scales, but the shape will vary from person to person. The Aura have a very large height gap between male and females. A male Aura can reach up to 80 ilms, and a female Aura can reach up to about 60 ilms. The Aura are split into two clans, the Rain and the Zayla. Both clans hail from the Far East, but the Zayla choose to remain in their homeland, aptly named the Azum Steppe. When speaking to an Ari, depending on who you are talking to, it may be difficult to understand them. That is because the tongue of the Aura is very hard to understand. However, the Rain have adapted to the local language of wherever they live. Now knowing what the Aura look like, let us break down the differences in both clans, starting with the Rain. Only recently the Rain have been welcomed into different cultures. They were feared and hated throughout Hydaelyn until a warlord from Yanzia took note of the Rain's impressive resolve and valor and took them in as retainers. Nowadays, you'll see Rain, Makote, Hyur, and more living in harmony. The Rain place heavy importance on hierarchy and the servant-master relationship. Now, the clothing of an Aura is very jagged and made to highlight their draconic elements. The most striking feature of their clothing is the belts that they wear to symbolize the health and vitality of the race. The scales of the Rain are a brilliant white or beige color compared to the dark colors of the Zayla scales. Surnames of the Far East are mostly only reserved for warriors, aristocrats, or warlords. However, some may choose to bestow upon themselves a surname taken from their own profession or place of origin. A given name is given at birth and is usually taken from already existing objects. Male Rain names are typically taken from the elements that have strong reputations like mountains, animals, or uncontrollable forces. A female Rain will be given a name that is taken from beautiful things like flowers, seasons, and many other elegant things. That is pretty much all we know about the Rain so far, so let's move on to their darker counterpart, the Zayla. Unlike the Rain, the Zayla are very hostile towards other races and even deserters of their own clan. The Zayla have not left the Azum Steppe, in fact they have claimed the entire region. The steppe has been turned into a sort of hunting ground for the Zayla, but not only for the local wildlife, but also for other Zayla tribes. There are over 51 tribes across the steppe belonging to the Zayla, but each of these tribes have been wiped out and reformed under different names by other Aura of the same clan. Something I found very interesting about the Zayla is that it is incredibly uncommon for a Zayla to waste any part of an animal. The bones are used for tools and shelter, and the skin used for clothing, and the rest are all eaten. Fitting of their aggressive lifestyle, the Zayla flaunt scales dark as the night, in contrast to the Rain's brilliant white scales. But the Rain and the Zayla are nearly identical in every way, but yet the Zayla are still stronger. The tongue of the Zayla clan is very hard to understand. We don't know much about their naming conventions other than the fact that they are comprised of a given name and a tribal surname. When looking at all the races across Hydaelyn, the Ara are one of the most aggressive and tribal. However, they are very interesting to talk about. Please feel free to join me on this journey to learn all about Hydaelyn and her children. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. This is the first video uploaded to this channel, and I'm planning on dedicating this whole channel to Final Fantasy XIV lore and history. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, feel free to stick around and maybe subscribe.